Did you know that silent and listen have exactly the same letters? Uh-huh. And I took that as a subtle clue for myself when I read it. It's been a crazy week. I kind of needed that little heads up there. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the principle of universal storehouse, and it would behoove me here to clarify my newfound spiritual knowledge and the stand in which I find myself at the sharing of God's principles. While New Age and Return of the Christ are all highly controversial in the fundamental Christian arena, of which I am well known amongst my peers, I have researched both outer and inner capacities to know the truth of each of them. I now understand the ages and their differences and how magnificently they each play their part in God's plan for the evolution of humanity. As God exhorts in the Holy Bible, don't let the triviality of words cause strife, I add, or keep you from realizing true oneness with God. I've said it before, but it is worthy of repeating. Fostering the growth of spiritual consciousness or broadening the consciousness does not mean leaving your God and following another. It is about experiencing God more fully each moment, each day, and each lifetime. It is the most delightful and perpetual experience for mankind right into infinity. In the Bible, it says, study to show yourself approved. It is a responsible part of our spiritual growth. When done in the sincerity of drawing nearer to Him, the soul becomes an integral part of daily life, guiding and teaching through the growing influence of the Holy Spirit. Alice Bailey writes, the service you can render is of more value to you than the service that can be rendered to you. It is written the ageless wisdom teaching is like prophecy in the world of science. Even skeptics will admit that the fate of humanity cannot depend upon the dissecting of frogs. The revealing of our higher indications through principles at least will not increase the number of the bearers of ignorance. Those who paper their walls with diplomas have overlooked the law of the common good. Therefore, accept enlightenment, the helper of humanity. Also, in the teachings, much is said about evolution and about the principle of universal assistance. Indeed, we've been taught in the churches that our Father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and that it is ours at the bidding. But as I pondered the relationship between the Scripture and those teachings on this matter, one question kept coming to me until I finally focused on it. The universal storehouse is where? These were my thoughts 7 years ago, and I share them with you again now. I believe that it is that which surrounds Earth, the planets, and cosmoses, is unseen or etheric and readily available to be turned into physical matter when called forth in need. I spoke of it before the manifesting substance of a casa, like the water hose theory in last week's principle. As it is taken from its source, it is immediately replaced, whether it be money, love, whatever, and the more that's taken for wise use, the more is replaced. But likewise, the hose through which the water travels also gets wet. When one is able to tap the principle of financial manifestation and learns the value and principle of giving, they are never in lack themselves. God is not a person to be humanized by lower man's thinking. God cannot be kept in a box, for God is everything. God is the divine principle. God is a casa. Think on the following, keeping the base agreement that He is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Picture the earth from the astronaut's view. What keeps this ball of rock from falling apart? What holds it and the other planets together in its place, floating strategically for eons in outer space? What is that space surrounding them? Is there an end to it? If so, where are the boundaries? If so, again, then God is in a box. Then, if so, what is the matter that surrounds that box in which it exists, and where does it end? Do you see how it cannot be encased? How eternity comes about? I came to the conclusion then through much meditation on the profound question that there is no end, that the matter surrounding the planets is that available etheric ingredient, the primordial crystals of Acacia, for all to use in the abundance of God's supply. He said, "Ye are gods," and I think it's time we acted like it. And those words have only proven more acutely their truths over the past 7 years of my practice and study of the principles, those living ethics, which the ageless wisdom yet adamants as infallible and indestructible. To act like it, as God intended for us, begins with integrity. Integrity is a divine aspect molding and reinforcing the perpetual ingredient for the manifestation abilities of Acacia, the manifesting substance. Attempted creation without integrity is futile. Integrity brings us into righteousness, right standing in alignment with God, the divine principle, and is achieved by doing the right thing at any given moment, regardless of what others may think or how the masses believe. Are you bold enough to do so? All the forces of the universe come to the aid of those who are, and each time such genuine action is performed, the performing soul is raised and given more power and freedom and revelation to become more godlike, the Christ principle, and thus causing the positive energy to the evolution of all humanity to be enhanced. All this by a simple act of integrity and boldness for but a moment. That is, by the way, faith. Consider a lifetime of such deeds, and it's never too late to start. And then consider many lives in the same practice as the freedom and joy of such integrity is witnessed and becomes contagious. That act of integrity, my friend, is service to humanity. And that, my friend, is evolution and how we each play a part. To research even more fully today's text version on my website, amritaNicoleMarketing.com, we'll have a very special link to that means. There was a statement made in a movie I recently watched. There is no sin. Sin was invented by the church for control. God does not condemn. There was so much truth to it, but it startled me to hear it so vehemently on the screen. We are co-creators of our own reality, and our omnipresent Father has given us everything we need to that goal in principles as autonomic as gravity and breathing. He has told us to write the vision and speak His words into it. Believe and go forward as though it already is. That is why words and integrity are so very important in moment-to-moment living. What we speak, act, and think is what comes to fruition. If not now, eventually. I wrote once of the words that go out beyond the borders of birds, into that etheric supply ground, the reservoir of demand and supply. Understand why that is different than mankind's supply and demand. Of everything, good and bad, the choice is ours by our thoughts, words, and deeds. The principles were put into place by God to govern both, and without reservation or respect of person. To be in right standing with God is to have come to the recognition of oneness with Him and all creation, and the capability of creating our own environment. Unbeknownst to most, we have been given, as some higher thinkers have chosen, the environment of this lifetime which would most provide personal evolution. If it isn't perfected in this lifetime, as many lifetimes as needed will be provided. Meditate on that reality and choose to waste no more time. Generations of behaviors and attitudes may have to be overcome, but it can be done. The progress made by the end of this lifetime for each of us is not lost, but carries forth to begin the next and on into divinity. The payment for earlier ignorance and behaviors, those karmic debts, lessen inequality with spiritual growth. Thus, my friend, again, evolution. And thus, my friend, greater health as frosting on the cake. In his highly prospective book, Esoteric Healing, ageless wisdom teacher Alan Hawking writes about the causes of ill health in all forms, such as physically, mentally, and emotionally. He quotes Alice Bailey: all that exists, from stones to stars to spirits, from matter to monads to mega beings, up to and including the one about whom naught may be said. The whole creation is the result of his directed and controlled thought, a process of sustained thinking activity in conformity to the pattern which he eternally visualizes. As co-creators, as one with him, we have the same ability to create and manifest, and so that makes the universal storehouse within us. Keeping in mind the principle of thought responsibility and its igniting power on a case of crystals, the manifesting substance, and the pairs of opposites I previously spoke of, which also permeates all in existence, creating the necessary opportunities to choose rightly, we now move into a new arena, a new level of thinking in those choices. We have, first, the way things have always been, so far as we remember in this lifetime, of chaos, dire circumstances, hopelessness, poverty, all those negative and antagonistic circumstances most have inadvertently resigned to themselves as life. But aha! We are now aware of its opposite and can make the cognitive effort to change the thinking and words about our lives. Both choices are ours and our free will for either one. Yet, I ask you, if a host offers you roadkill on a silver platter in one hand and the best of the fatted calf on a silver platter in the other hand, which, pray tell, would you choose? Yes, it is that simple. So then, let your determination help chase off the old way of thinking and replace it with its opposite. Be firm in admonishing your ingrained personality that we are not walking that way again. And that is not how I think and behave any longer. And this is how it will be from now on, so get it straight or leave me be. In this practice of being in control of your own personality and mind, we get out of our own way, and the blissful life can resume as originally intended and as an on-purpose creator. Always remember, this process of manifesting and creating from the universal storehouse is not meant for use with a get-rich-quick mentality, but as part of the soul perfection process, which unleashed the principle of may you prosper even as your soul prospers. You will find the desires of your heart changing delightfully and astonishingly as your soul prospers in the recognition that all manifestations are for all, not selfishly for the individual. Can true prosperity be established, which should result in the unity, peace, and plenty? Only in one way, by the united action of the men and women of goodwill and understanding in every country and in every nation. Steadily and quietly, with no sense of hurry, Men of goodwill must do three things. First, we must discover each other and be in touch with each other. Then the sense of weakness and futility will be offset. Secondly, we must clarify and make clear those basic principles of right living, goodwill, and harmony, which are recognized but not supplied by all right thinking people today. Third, the general public must be educated in the principles. Steadily, regularly, and systematically, they must be taught the principles of brotherhood, of internationalism, which is based on goodwill and love of all men, of religious unity, and of cooperative independence. These go hand in hand with integrity. So, on that note, we can undertake the understanding of the giving principle, the tool which plays most greatly in the attraction of specified matter and in its abundance. If one ponders purposefully on their base belief of those common buzzwords, the law of attraction and abundance, let's face it, there are very few who do not get the picture in their mind of castles, caddies, cash, and credit cards, of swimming pools, servants, and special attentions. Such is the generational beliefs in our society of materialism, illusion, and glamour. Once this is seen with spirit eyes for what it really is, an illusion, it has a profound effect on the psyche and often leaves one with a sudden onset of grief for being so gullible, nausea, for there's no denying or backtracking once you've seen, and embarrassment for having played your vital part for so long. All the marketing for all these years did a spectacular job on us, didn't it? So, now you've seen and know, and you will never perceive wealth and riches in the same way ever again. It will be solically and mentally impossible for the true student of higher understanding to go back to the old ways. Be cautious at this point. There is a tendency to swing to the extreme opposite and live too frugally. It was never intended mankind should be without materially, financially, or otherwise. This step in your soul perfection process is intended to bring your thought life into alignment with the universal storehouse of abundance. Now you can manifest through your renewed mind and heart for others what you would have for yourself, knowing that as you see your dream happening to someone else, and who may not even seem to appreciate it like you know you would, you will never again be truly in need for anything this lifetime and all future lifetimes. Watch the happening of another embracing your dream as an onlooker and a pleased benefactor with no fanfare or recognition needed. You have raised yourself to that of an on-purpose creator and could do it again for yourself if your desires have not changed or is in the becoming of it. Amassing great wealth will become a disdain, for that will appear to you as hoarding, thereby allowing dire circumstances for someone else. And haven't we seen the truth of the scriptural admonishment to lay not up for yourselves, as hordes of money disappear overnight? The purpose of the principle of giving is so the one who has brought it into their life can eternally know they will never be without what is necessary for a pleasant life. The abundance comes into play as never ending. Again, you can tell I love this vision given to me so early in my podfig. My water hose theory is that of water through a hose. We give and get immersed ourselves as we give, and the source, the universal storehouse, never dries up. Be assured that when we do buy something, It is expected to be of quality, and beauty is close to heaven. The caution is that such necessary material items do not rule or fuel our sense of pride and would not devastate if lost. Trust me, you will be tested many times on loss, for it presents the opportunity to practice or remember your manifesting power as an on-purpose creator. Know, too, and you'll love this, ladies, that when you shop, do so with the perpetual and delightful mindset of a benefactor, for you are giving in purchasing money to pay for salaries, for inventory, for the trucks and trains and their drivers, for the manufacturing and so on down the line, and groceries are included in that shopping list. Without our patronage, the economy would defuse. The keynote to the spending or giving, now with your new understanding, is wisdom. We are exhorted to moderation in all things. As you remain focused and centered in your newfound solical pattern of living, practice both wisdom and moderation. Indeed, you will find guidance in all your decisions through the same principle as your source, the universal principle of God. Stay always in an attitude of gratitude, remember, for it is a supreme catalyst in all your spiritual endeavors. Here is a short but very powerful prayer fitting the new mindset of giving. It's called Noontime Recollection. I know, O Lord, of life and love about the need. Touch my heart anew with love, that I too may love and give. When said often in sincerity, expect changes to come to your notice, and be cautious not to reject them. If you ignore the subtle changes and not embrace them, you will once again be imprisoning your answer to prayer.